Hello everyone. This is a video response to Organic Modern Mommy's post regarding her pregnancy and circumcision. Before I go on, I want to just make it clear that I don't view myself as an activist, and I certainly uh, don't want this to be viewed in any way as an attack on her decisions. In fact, um, part of the reason I decided to do a comment on her video rather than just post my own is I thought that unlike many other folks who have spoken to this, she was very, very thoughtful, and I think that she is probably just a most excellent mom to her two and soon to be three sons. So all of what I say here is based on respect for this one video that this very capable person has posted. And so, as we move through here, the next thing I'd like to talk about is circumcision is not the end all be all thing for a child. There are lots of great parents who have circumcised their children and awful ones that haven't. This is simply one of a myriad of decisions that parents need to make. And I'd like to weigh in on this from some of my own perspective by, asking some questions. And one of them concerns her topic of, activists making people feel guilty. And I'm not going to own any of that. First of all, I don't think I'm an activist necessarily. But guilt either occurs when we do something we know is wrong, or after we've done something, we find out that it's wrong. And so, if in fact you see these things or get information about circumcision or any other thing about your child or life, if you in fact feel guilty, it's because there's some part of you that questions whether or not you've done the right thing. And so I would encourage you that regardless of the topic, that you do the soul searching that you need, find out the information that's out there, and process it so that in fact you can make a decision that's not going to make you feel guilty. But certainly I'm not going to let anyone try to blame me for guilting them. I think that's all on whoever's feeling guilty. There's nothing that I could do about that. One of the things that she talks about that I really enjoyed was how she said it's not whether you circumcise your child or not, it's how you raise your children in regard to her first child is circumcised and number two isn't, and number three I don't think will. And this is a really good point, and it goes far beyond circumcision. I mean, circumcising your child is not going to prevent them from being teased. When I grew up, I was chubby, and I got teased for being fat. And the very same people that teasing me for being fat were the same ones that were teasing other friends of mine because they were too skinny. It just didn't make any sense. And so, this sort of reasoning that you're going to prevent teasing really doesn't hold much water for me. So, I'd like to know how that might be true. But I think that the area that I want to spend the most time on is this area that she talked about in terms of the decision being right for the family. And this is another common reason that people give. And when we decide to do a thing, it always is for a reason. For instance, if I go out and buy broccoli tonight for dinner, it might be because it's my favorite vegetable, or maybe because I want more calcium in my diet. I mean, there are reasons why I buy and eat that. Well, the same thing here. I mean, what are your actual reasons, and what could possibly be the reason or the justification that it's right for the family? I don't recall any sort of conversations in my family in regard to the disposition of my genitalia in relation to how that helped or hurt the other members of my family. So how is that a decision that's right for the family? How does my genitalia have anything to do with that? I would really enjoy anyone's comments regarding how it affects the family one way or another. Now, who it does affect is the little boy. This is a decision made without his consent, and in fact, even if it's done with local anesthetic, there's always going to be post-operative pain. And in fact, in some of my comments that I typed, Organic Modern Mommy said that, well, it's the same as piercing ears. And after you have your ears pierced, there's post-operative pain there as well. But I really have a hard time accepting that those two things are comparable. Piercing ears is putting a hole through the earlobe, which really is a very minimal amount of cellular damage, and certainly nothing is lost in that process. Whereas circumcision, once that's done, it's done, and you are removing a fairly large part of the organ, and a part that is important for many reasons in terms of how the body works. And I really don't know that an infant ever has their ears pierced. That might even be illegal. But nonetheless, I wouldn't propose that a child should have their ears pierced until they understand what that's about and how they could take care of it themselves. And so just the fact that maybe both of these things are permissible doesn't necessarily make them comparable in terms of the amount of harm done. But also, when we look at that issue and coming back to, is it right for the family, there are still many things that parents cannot decide to do. For instance, if you tattoo your child, that's against the law, and you're definitely going to be in trouble for that. You cannot inflict physical harm or beat your children, even if you think it's the right thing to do for the family. And I certainly don't believe that Organic Modern Mommy would beat her children. I don't mean to accuse her of any of these things. I'm simply bringing up a corollary that not everything that a parent might want to do is right just because they want to do it. If you believe that medical intervention is against God's will, then and if you let your child die of pneumonia instead of having them receive appropriate medical attention, you could end up in jail. So even though circumcision for boys is not illegal, I still think that it's appropriate to look at other standards as they do apply to the law in terms of parents don't have this ultimate right to do whatever they want to the child. And in that light, one should consider what in fact are those ramifications. And in regard to that, people will often say, well, if you take care of it as an infant, then they don't have to worry about it as an adult. But I think that adults should have to worry about their body. I think that as a boy or a girl grows up, they will have more and more responsibility for more and more things. And part of that responsibility is going to be over what their body looks like, and whether or not it's how you eat, or whether you exercise, or if you want to modify your body in any way. When you're old enough to make that decision, it becomes then your decision. And I'm really not convinced that it hurts any less as an infant to be circumcised than as an adult. The difference is that an adult can understand the ramifications of that decision for himself and decide if it's worth the pain to go through to have that particular body modification done. And from what I understand, there's plenty of other body modifications that might even be more painful than that some people may choose to undergo. And so again, I'd like to engage this not as a stance of I believe anyone is evil, because I think most people are good. But I also think that most people, unlike modern organic mommy, uh, do things like circumcision to their male children, just because it's easier to say yes because of maybe even family pressure, because they haven't thought it through. And what I'm asking is, let's think it through. And I would enjoy any comments that Modern Organic Mommy has, or any of her listeners. And it would be an honor for me to have this video stand beside hers as a response, because clearly this is a very capable mom and a great human being. And so thank you very much for your time.